Hello all and welcome back to the channel. Today I thought I would go down Beatle and memory lane and explore my first purchases proper on my journey to becoming a Beatle fan. Now then, first on my list, I think I'm going to go slightly ahead of time here, and I'm going to head to 1984. Now, why was that significant in my life? It was significant because I ended up buying the posthumous release by John Lennon of Nobody Told Me. Now, I remember hearing this on the radio and I thought, this is a brilliant, brilliant song. I really enjoyed it. And I thought, I'm going to go and get that single as soon as I can. So I headed down to my local Woolworths that still existed on the buzzing high street as it was then, back in the day, in the 80s. And there it is, just to show you. There you go, the 7-inch disc, still in pretty decent nick actually, but played a lot, I can assure you. But anyway, I went down to the local Woolworths store, and before I could even get to the counter, and bear in mind I was 15 years old back then, my mum, God rest her soul, was already steaming towards that counter like somebody had been let out of a lunatic asylum, and suitably embarrassed me by saying, the John Lennon single, the John Lennon single. Much to my embarrassment. And so I walked out of that store with, thankfully, Nobody Told Me, but with a red face as well as change out of the money I gave them. So there you go. That was my legitimate purchase back in 1984. Whoa, that seems a heck of a long time ago. Right. Next on my list, now I have been meaning to do this for a while. I know they're just sort of anomalies in Beatledom, but they just mean something to me. And I just thought I'd just post something anyway that I thought might be interesting. Might be, might not. So anyway, the next item I'm going to bring here to the table is now I don't know, have any of you got these albums or cassettes even back at home? And it is the Beatles Rock and Roll Music Volumes. Now, this is Volume 1 on vinyl. I had Volume 2 on cassette, and distinctively, the Volume 1 was blue, Volume 2 was red, obviously the reverse of the red and blue albums. However, yeah, I think it was at that particular time when stuff was being released. Beatles stuff, and this was brought out in 1976. But I've got to be honest, apart from Twist and Shout, and I saw her standing there, there's not a lot really that I would actually, go for. It is early Beatles stuff, and I'm not saying any of it's bad because they can do the classics well. But unlike, its counterpart, the official Red album, juxtaposed to this, those tracks obviously, they're brilliant. These, it's almost like somebody's just decided, we're going to throw some of the old stuff, like rock and roll music, Slow Down, Kansas City, etc., on this album, and, see who goes for it. I think, to be honest, the cassette version I had of Volume 2 was a lot better. I know certainly it had Helter Skelter on. I'm certain it did. I could be wrong. If I am, let me know. Now then, my other purchases. Now these were, I was desperate to get the Beatle albums. Now my friends had the Beatle albums in a box set. Now, well, I say a box set. They'd got them in an LP case. And I was looking through them, and I thought, oh man, I've got to get these for myself sometime. So I happened to, go again in the high street. Bear in mind, small town, trying to get hold of these things back in the 80s. It wasn't that easy, really, to be fair. So I wandered down to a place called Millet's, which is a walk-in shop. So why the heck they had a record store in there, along with tents and other stuff, is beyond me. But anyway, I ended up picking up 2 albums. Now, my first the first album really actually does mean a lot to me because it was my first proper Beatles album, and I played this to death, and I probably drove people mad in my house with this, and it is With the Beatles. Now, as a lot of things with the Beatles, I do tend to gravitate towards the sleeves, and I found that with the Beatles, it really was interesting. I mean, the one I really wanted, to be fair, was Revolver, because I remember seeing that the the Revolver album that my friend had, and I thought, man, that's the coolest cover I have ever seen in my life. But I couldn't get hold of it. So the next one I really took a shine to was With the Beatles, again because of the cover. I won't lie, that was it for me. It was the cover. But anyway, it's got some good stuff on it. It's got It Won't Be Long, All I've Got to Do. It's got Don't Bother Me, which I really fell in love with, actually. That's the George Harrison track that he's not keen on, or wasn't keen on, rather. But I quite liked it. Well, I did like it. I liked it a lot. I still have a soft spot for it. And it seems like it's got some sort of, I don't know, it sounded a bit like sort of almost late 60s Eastern vibe to me, even when I heard it, on this album. But yeah, it's got some good stuff on it. So yeah, special place in my heart with that one. The other one I bought was Beatles for Sale. Now this I wasn't enamoured with, I've got to be honest. I did like 8 Days a Week. They've got obviously 8 Days a Week. I'm a Loser, I Don't Want to Spoil the Party. I liked those, I did. I wasn't too keen on the other stuff, but nonetheless, I was proud in the fact that I'd got 2 Beatle purchases, and I was very pleased. However, I soon discovered that the pressings I'd got were EMI Greek pressings. So I did feel slightly shortchanged, if I'm honest. Whatever they're worth these days, I do not know whether they're worth anything or nothing. But I did feel slightly cheated because I'd gone out thinking I was going to get, say legitimate. These are legitimate. But when I found out they're obviously the proper albums were released through Parlophone, yeah, I was a little bit like, oh, I've got the knockoff sort of thing. It's a bit like if you were living in the 80s, there was a mod revival and people went out and bought fishtail parkas. A lot of the kids managed to get the ex-army ones, the real deal that you saw on Quadrophenia. Some of us, like me, I'm afraid, ended up with the cheaper, shop cashing in style. So, yeah, I felt a bit cheated, in the same way, really, to be fair. So, yeah. But anyway, I've kept them. So, they're part of the Beatles history. Another disc I got was a picture disc, which is a bit strange because it's spelt Silver Beatles. Somebody pointed this out from a short I did on this, that it is rather odd because it's got, obviously it's Silver Beatles, but they were obviously known as the Silver Beatles at one point, but it wasn't spelled as, it became. It was BEETLES. So not only have we got that as an anomaly, but we have obviously the pictures from the White Album included on both sides. And as if that doesn't give this disc an identity crisis, with those particular anomalies, the fact that its track listing is from their earlier days, such as Memphis, Three Cool Cats, The Sheik of Araby, etc., then yeah, I don't know what would give this album an identity crisis, but it's an anomaly. I think from what I can see, it was recorded. Right, these recordings were from 61, and this disc was brought out in 82. So whether it was a cash grab thing, I don't know. But anyway, so I bought it. Only, again, I bought it because of this picture disc, but when I got it home, I was like, oh no, what have I done? So anyway, but finally, what I'm really, really proud of was an item that my mum got me when I was about 13 years old. I was desperate to get, as I say, some Beatle albums, discs, whatever really. And at the time, in '82, box sets had been released of the Beatle albums, the Beatle EPs, and the Beatles singles, and they were a bright penny even back then. So imagine my surprise when, for my birthday, my mum bought for me the Beatles singles collection box. Now, this is 42 years old now, and I have played every single disc in this, not for some time I might add. It's got the original list of all the singles included, including those ones that were released in 1976, because they brought out Yesterday and I Should Have Known Better, Back in the USSR and Twist and Shout. And they had one in '78, which was Sergeant Pepper's, Lonely Hearts Club Band, Little Help from My Friends, and A Day in the Life from the B-side. And then in '82, yeah, there was the movie medley. I don't know whether you remember that, but anywho. So yeah, and all of these discs I was absolutely chuffed with because they were all picture sleeves. You know, they've got perhaps a little bit of, you know, marks from, well, I say marks, but you know, the ends are slightly, you know, perhaps not as crisp as they were because of obviously I played them. But absolutely love them. All picture sleeves. So again, I don't know how much they're worth monetary wise, but I do know to me they're worth a heck of a lot. Something I intend to keep and pass on to my kids, who I've also managed to indoctrinate with the wonderful rhythms of those four boys from Liverpool. Anyway, thanks for watching. You know, to everybody who subscribes, everybody who takes the time, even just to, you know, view whatever videos or shorts out there, I do appreciate it. And thank you, and I'll see you soon. Take care all, and stay safe. Bye.